Shalom Israel. Today I'm going to be making a video, in which I'm going to be just walking around, just to have a different kind of effect as I make this video today. It might not come out right, so I'm trying to position myself where the sun can directly shine through, so that my video will be bright. This video is going to be a continuation of the video I've been making regarding the recent, incident that occurred at the Commonwealth Assembly, Commonwealth Zion Assembly Church of Abuja. The last video I made, I articulated some of my personal opinions regarding the indiscretions of the pastor. But today, new information has emerged. There's a staff of COZA who came out to also lay out and levy very damaging, serious allegation against the pastor. The woman alleged that she was raped, even though she spoke anonymously. And I'm going to address the reason why that's not a very effective approach. And then I'm also going to talk about a certain individual who has been trolling me on social media. The man has called me an idiot without explaining to me why I am an idiot. I'm going to just speak about a lot of issues in today's video. So I'm going to just be walking around. I'm going to try to position this video in a way that I'll be able to just have the light, shining through. In some places, the video might be a little dark and blurred, but I'm gonna try to make this video just walking around, to see if I can have a different effect. But first of all, let me address this individual who has trolled me and called me all kinds of names, described me as an idiot. Well, first of all, I'm not an idiot. Second of all, you don't know me. Third of all, I am a genius, the kind of genius that you will throw into a lion's den, and then by the time everybody wakes up in the morning, all the lions are dead and only the genius is alive and standing. And fourth of all, you need to mind your own business, because I'm not talking to you. I have a lot of people following me. I have a lot of people who like my video. My content is an intellectual content. It's not. I'm not a vlogger. I don't engage in vlogging. I just talk about issues that are very, very important to society, very, very important to the way we are. So for you to come on social media to begin to call me names, to me, is it's unbecoming. I've not been calling you names. I've not, harassed you. I've never confronted you in any way, shape, or form. But for you to come to social media to call me names, I think is something that has to end. Hey, how are you? All right. So the next issue I'm going to address is the issue of the Commonwealth Assembly. The Commonwealth Zion Assembly of Abuja, and this is going to be my last video. I did indicate in my last video that Busola Dakolo's deposition and testimony in that interview was not going to be the last we're going to hear about the pastor, Pastor Biode Fatoyibo, and his wife. Today's video is going to focus mostly on the actions and inactions of his wife in the sexual scandal that is currently rocking the church. I did predict that more people are going to come, and more people are still going to come. A certain Oluwa Timeshi, if I'm not pronouncing that name correctly, please pardon me, Oluyede, came out to make a very, very serious allegation that is eerily similar with the allegation that Busola Dakolo made. But before I talk about her deposition and her testimony, it's very important that if women come out to make allegations of a rape, they must be conscious of the fact that you have to be courageous enough to show your identity. You must be courageous enough to reveal your identity. If you conceal your identity or pixelate the video or camouflage it, that in of itself can shift your credibility. It can impugn the deposition and testimony that you are articulating. That does not in of itself mean that your allegation cannot be taken seriously. But rape is a very serious allegation. If Busola, I was meant to say Bukola Saraki, but that's not him. If Busola Dakolo was courageous enough to show her face and stand in her authority to make this allegation, I think anyone else who is coming out to make an allegation of rape must follow that example. You must follow that blueprint and that kind of template, because if you're going to be pixelating your picture and concealing your identity and camouflaging your testimony, a lot of people might be less inclined to take your allegations seriously. But that doesn't. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that when women don't want the identity to be revealed, that means that they are not forthcoming with the truth. On the contrary, they are also telling the truth. But I'm just saying that as more women come out, you guys need to come out with an affirmative vision of testimony, so that the community can take whatever allegation you're making against the pastor seriously. And remember, it's a sexual indiscretion. This is a infidelity. This is a sexual assault. It's rape. So if if you're not serious about your allegation, people are not gonna, there won't be collective efficacy. There won't be that cross-cultural collective efficacy that is gonna give, teeth. That is gonna give a lot of support to your claim. Because somebody's reputation is going to be on the line if you're going to be alleging that a man of God, especially a celebrity pastor like Pastor Biodo Fato Ibo, raped you. It's something you need to make up in your mind. To come out with everything you have, including reveal of your identity, including, not camouflaging or pixelating or otherwise attempting to obscure who you are. That can, in an interesting sort of way, shift your credibility. So the woman, this Olua Timeshi, Oluyede, pardon me again if it's a very long name, if I'm not pronouncing it right. And she spoke clearly, vividly. We didn't see her face, but man, her voice is just like a song. She got this beautiful, sonorous voice. And now I'm beginning to visualize how her face will look like. She'll probably be one heck of a beautiful woman who equally suffered, this rape in the hands of this pastor. And her own attack, her own rape occurred outside the shores of Nigeria in Dubai. So if she's going to take a legal action, it's probably going to be a bridge too far, because then they have to retrace their steps. They have to go to the authorities in Dubai to lodge a complaint, which is going to be problematic. Now, a lot of people in social media are asking, because I've spent time today or in the last 24 hours watching various video clips that tend to address this issue of Pastor Biode Fato Ibo and the COZA Church. There seems to be a single thread that runs around many of the opinions and views and viewpoints that a lot of people have articulated. And many of the people who have articulated this very negative and doubtful viewpoints are women. Some women are asked about their opinion regarding these allegations. The women are saying, well, if somebody was raped 16 years ago and after 20 years she comes along to make this allegation, what does that tell you? Where has she been? But then they ask other women, they say the same thing. Oh, well, a lot of time has elapsed. Where were they? They were supposed to, if it was important to them, if they were indeed victims of rape, they were supposed to have come before this time to come to make their the allegation or their claim. But I am saying to you that people react to traumatic events in different ways. Rape is a very, very traumatic event in the life of anybody. It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be anybody. So people react differently. Moments following rape, people might tend to go to the hospital to seek medical help. They may be bruised up. They may be, a lot of blood may have been drawn. They can go to their spiritual advisor. They can go to their friends, or they may remain silent. And then, in my last video, I did articulate the very important point that Nigeria is a conservative society where nobody will broach or, even attempt to entertain the idea of a woman coming forward to allege rape. Because it is not part of our culture. A lot of women are dying in silence who have been raped, but times have changed. Times are changing. Bisola Dakolo's testimony has opened the floodgate for a lot of women who have been dying in silence, who have been suffering in silence, to come forward to tell their stories. So the idea that people are, second guessing or, doubting the authenticity or genuineness of the claim these women have made, to me is very, very insulting to the dignity of these women who have suffered this kind of indignity in the hands of the people they trust. So just because they didn't come out immediately to make the allegation or report to the police in of itself does not mean that they don't have a legitimate story to tell. And of course, we have had again and again, instances of where people go to the police station to even report lesser crimes, and the police are dismissive. The police officers are usually dismissive of their claims. If somebody goes to the police to report a sexual assault, some policemen tend to find that kind of claim laughable. So based on this kind of pervasive, persistent doubtfulness of the claims of rape victims, a lot of people don't want to become the object of caricature. They don't want to become the object of the butt of people's jokes. That's why they just want to suffer in shame. But these are changing times. The Busola Dakolo of this world have opened up the eyes of the women. A lot of women are going to be coming forward. This Oluwa Timeshi just came out today. I bet you more women are going to be coming forward. But I'm not going to be making a video every time a woman comes out because the two videos I've already made on the subject matter will suffice. And I'm going to try to tie it up together with this last video, because we are not going to continue to dignify the names of people who are engaged in sexual misconduct. And to the wife of Biodu Fatoyibo, who is known as Pastor Modele Fatoyibo, I think your position in all of this all of this saga is quite problematic. It seems to me that you are a manifestly willing accomplice and co-conspirator in this entire sexual provocation that your husband has been accused of. I have listened to the deposition and the testimony of the two women, and every now and then your name comes up as somebody who urged them on to go to pastor. Whatever the pastor asks you to do, do it. Whatever the pastor tells you to do, go and do it. And they trusted you. And you, having known the kind of husband you married, that he is a philandering, trifling individual, you did not consider the kind of danger that existed when you were urging this woman to go to your husband to do whatever he asks them to do. And some of them were turned, very educated women, they were turned into babysitters, into tutors for your family. And I'm not sure you paid them for that. And for the fact that you knew who your husband is, that your husband is a danger to the female members of the church, you never took proper steps to ensure that these women were protected. You urged them on, you pushed them along, and they ended up being victims of rape. That, for me, is preposterous. According to Mike Tyson would say, something is preposterous. Something is very, 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 it's very, very hurtful. It's very painful that you knew there was danger, and yet you pushed these women along, and they ended up being raped. And then we've been talking about men being part of that patriarchal order where they possess this multiple levels of dominance. Where they have become they have become emblematic and become the epitome of misogyny, sexism, chauvinism, and patriarchy. But from your action or inaction or even participation in what has happened here, I think patriarchy has never had a better voice. Women are also they are also responsible for patriarchy. Even though when it comes to patriarchy, men are the subject of the conversation. And by the way, patriarchy is no more than the demand of men to have their affirmative vision protected and projected and preserved. That's just what patriarchy is. So that a male figure predominates, and his opinion, his decision is final, and it has no appeal. Women cannot appeal the opinion or the powers of a patriarch. So this is problematic in many levels. That you, Pastor Modele Fatoyibo, your name came up in these interviews because the women were alleging that you were the one who, encouraged them. If you had not encouraged them as a fellow woman to go and to Biodo Fatoyibo, he is the pastor. Whatever pastor tells you to do, please do it. I don't think many of them would have found themselves in this predicament that they have been mired in today. So there is enough blame to go around here, because it's not just the man that has to be held accountable. Even you, his wife, you have some questions to answer. Your actions or inactions, or your participation in whatever has happened here has to be thoroughly investigated, because these women, they have nothing to accomplish by fabricating or just making up stuff against your husband. I don't think that is their mission. We live in a conservative society. People are not going to just come out to put themselves in a position where they are going to be scrutinized if there was nothing that has happened to them. If they have not been molested, if they have not been abused, I don't think they are going to come out to make these very, very damaging and serious allegations against a celebrity pastor. I don't think they have anything to accomplish. After they were in this church for many years, giving their time, their sweat, their blood, their resources to lift up this ministry. And then the idea of that Pastor Fato IBO has resigned, has stepped down, doesn't make this problem to be resolved conclusively. What does step down mean? Is it does step down mean to just stay out of the way until this firestorm dies down, so that he can sneak right back into the pulpit? What does step down mean? Does it mean that he has abdicated and relinquished his interest in the church, that the church can now be run by a board of trustees? What does the step down mean? Does it mean that his wife is no longer going to be there as his eyes and ears? So I don't really know what step down means. So they need to articulate an affirmative vision of what a step down means. Because people are asking, if you want to get justice, if you want to get to the root of this matter, all members of the family who have an investment or vested interest in this church must have to abdicate their positions, completely, totally, and for all time. So that a board of trustees or board of directors can manage the affairs of the church, and then have their own internal mechanism of checkmating the excesses of the pastors. Because Pastor Biodu seems to be the man in the eye of the storm. But there could be other lesser individuals too who in the church who serve as pastors, who may have also or participated in one form or the other in sexual indiscretion in the church. So those individuals need to be identified and quarantined and excluded and isolated from actively participating in the liturgy of the church. And this event that is occurring in this church also is a template and a blueprint of what goes on in other churches. It's just that members of those other churches have not been courageous enough to come and tell their story. Because people need to stop seeing the pastors as the Ark of the Covenant of family virtues and values. The pastors see themselves as people who stand in pure, pristine, pious places. But what has happened in the recent past, in the last 72 hours, with this very explosive, testimony, where two women have articulated, very raunchy, salacious details of the way and manner that their senior pastor and general overseer, manipulated them and raped them repeatedly, is an eye-opener. And then many of you people, especially the Igbos who are still in these churches, need to start thinking twice. You need to start exiting those churches and start finding your way into synagogues. I mean, as a Cohen, as a Rosh, R-O-S-H. That's a word for a synagogue leader who is not an ordained rabbi. As a Rosh or a Cohen, C-O-H-E-N. I can tell you that this kind of scandal will not occur in any of our synagogues in Nigeria, because we have mechanisms to ensure that people in authority, rabbis, Cohens, Rosh, R-O-S-H, the people in authority, cantors, worship leaders do not compromise their position by being Machiavellian and being manipulative of members of the congregation. So and to you, Igbo women and men who are still in these churches, these events are very disgraceful and shameful, and it should pique your interest in the synagogues, where your integrity is going to be preserved, where your safety will be assured, because there's no safety in many of these churches anymore. These churches have become very dangerous places where people are being raped, being abused, and being exploited. So it's very, very important for people who have ended up in these churches to start thinking about how to, exit those churches and find themselves in synagogues, particularly Igbos. Igbos, of course, are people of the book. We are part of the seeds of Abraham. I'm not advocating for those who are not Igbos to leave churches to come to synagogues, because that's not a place for you. The synagogue are just for Igbos and those who are similarly arrayed with our cultures, conventions, and ethos. To come to those, to those synagogues and then receive their blessing. And have you ever asked why the Jews control a large percentage of the resources around the world? Because they serve a different God. They don't serve the same God like Christians or Muslims or people of other faiths. They serve a God that lifts them up, that elevates them, that levels them up. So there is a special prayer Jews pray that makes all the difference. You can find that in the churches. And with this kind of scandal taking place in a Christian church, there is no way the prayers that are being released from those churches can even make it halfway to heaven, because God is not going to participate in this kind of chicanery and in this kind of chicanery and mockery of Christianity. You can find that in Jewish synagogues in Nigeria. So to you Igbo Jews who are still not made up, who have still not made up your mind whether or not you should exit these churches, these events can now provide the template and blueprint for you to now exit these churches and go to the synagogues and get your enrolled as a member of the synagogue, particularly the Igbos and those who also share part of our, ethics, ethos, and cultural values. So this video is very, very important for Pastor Modele Fato Igbo to consider abdicating, just like your husband stepped down. We don't really know what stepping down means, because it's not clear what does stepping down mean. It has to be articulated in a way that it can be palpable, so that we can fully understand what stepping down means. Is it stepping down today and then going through the back door to that pulpit to continue the molestation, the rape, and the sexual assault of women? So we are calling for a complete abdication. And thank goodness, so far, none of the Igbo women who have been in that church has come forward to make any allegation, and I hope it stays that way. But it won't surprise me if some of these Igbo girls who go to these churches have also become victims. If you have become victim, we are here to call on you to come and tell your story. Don't attempt to pixelate or obscure or camouflage or conceal your identity. You gotta be courageous enough to tell your story without concealing your identity, because that is going to get in the way of your credibility. It's going to make people doubtful of what it is that you're speaking. But if you look into the camera and tell the world about your story, you're most likely to be believed. That doesn't mean, if rape or some form of a sexual assault, occurred to you. It doesn't mean just because you decided to make your case anonymous, it doesn't in of itself mean that it didn't happen. It's just people are less likely to take your story seriously if you're concealing your identity. That's my word for these women who are coming forward. Don't do that. You gotta make up your mind whether you want to come out and tell your story. Today is July the 4th, so people are just engaged in fireworks display. That's why you're hearing these explosions. There is no war here. It's a very peaceful place. So it's important for you to make up in your mind. I know a lot of women have been suffering in silence, but how can they tell their story without the word be judgmental? Because people are too judgmental. They're going to tell you, oh, well, if you were not wearing that short skirt, if you were not wearing that provocative outfit, the pastor wouldn't have noticed you to rape you. People are going to say things like that, things that are so unkind, words that don't help in the healing process. But, times have changed. You need to come out and tell your story. Tell your story. If you have a genuine, factual, evidential information about any assault, any rape that has occurred to you, you need to come and tell your story. Not necessarily against Pastor Biodo, but against anybody who you think may have violated you. You need to come and tell your story, because we need to put the people out there who have acted inappropriately against women. They need to be put out there. So the idea of you remaining silent and then expecting, we're not magicians. People are not magicians. They cannot know your story unless you tell your story. So I am going to, I'm going to encourage you to come and tell your story. Not necessarily against Pastor Biodo. There are many other powerful individuals who have participated or been involved in this kind of indiscretion. They need to be exposed. There is no need concealing their identity. There is no need hiding who they are. They need to be exposed as soon as possible. So that's that's what I wanted to lay out here today in this video, which is a little different. I just wanted to animate today's video, by just walking around to see if I can create a different effect. I don't know how to make all these effects on. I don't know how to edit videos. Maybe that's the next thing I'm not a vlogger, so I'm not really interested in editing videos and creating all these theatrics and drama around my videos. I just want to lay out my points in a succinct, erudite, intelligent, fashion. So until I come your way again, this is your high priest, Jewish high priest, bringing you word. And thank you very much. And in case you have not subscribed, go and press that rectangular red button on the bottom of your screen to subscribe to my videos, so that every time I produce a video, you will be able to be the first to receive my video. Until I come your way again, this is your high priest bringing you word. Thank you very much.